Welcome to the Ryan Beardy live stream. Today is Saturday, November 26th. And today I wanted to do a stream focusing on the Game Awards. And then just go a little bit about what I've been doing over the years. Because I just finished Pokemon Colosseum. I have to pick what game I want to stream next. I still don't know. I'm leaning towards Bugsnax because that was originally the plan before like my whole year got a little busy. But I also finished a lot of my games that I've been playing off stream. Like I just finished Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I was playing Devil May Cry 4, so I finished that. I'm currently working on a video for Devil May Cry 4. So I gotta figure out. I wanted to replay SMT4 because I want to do. Not like immediately after, but I want to do a video on SMT4 eventually, because that is like one of my favorite games of all time. But I also want to play some newer games too, so like I'm bouncing back and forth. I wanted to try Final Fantasy 12. I got the PS4 version of that. So that's what I think I'm going to do off stream next. But as far as the channel itself goes, I uploaded a new short. The newest video is still the Amazing Island video, which I'm really proud of. And before the end of the year, the only thing I have planned is doing another YouTube short, and I'm going to do that on Outer Wilds. I wanted to do a full video on it, but it's one of those games, like one of my favorite videos of all time is going to be The Less You Know The Better. It's one of those games where it's a puzzle game based on exploration, where you have access to everything from the beginning, but it's about your knowledge of the environment, and you learning things lets you unlock new things. So I thought, like, it's such a good game, I would love to do a full video on it, but I settled with a YouTube short. That way I could get across why you should play the game. Because it's really as good as everybody says it is. I've heard for such a long time how good of a game it was, and I decided to finally, like, take the jump myself. Final Fantasy 12 is really fun once you understand the Gambit system. I don't know what is compelling me to want to try this game over some of the others right now, Final Fantasy 12. Because to me it looks like it plays like Xenoblade, where it's an action RPG, whatever you call them, like real-time RPGs. I guess not action, but maybe real-time. I wonder what, like, it's described as. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I want to know what the term so this is an action role-playing game, but for me action role-playing reminds me more of like Nier Automata. So it has an ATB system, but you can completely automate it. Because I've always argued back and forth with myself. Like I contradict myself, and I'm fine with that. Like I've explained it before. I love the repetition of turn-based combat, like Final Fantasy, like SMT, like Dragon Quest. But as soon as you add more action elements into it, and more, like, as soon as you add more action elements into it, I start to hate it more. Like when you get to Kingdom Hearts, when you get to Xenoblade Chronicles, and maybe it's because I haven't played a lot of these kind of games. Like I've tried and fell off of Kingdom Hearts. I want to give it another shot eventually. But looking at Xenoblade, I just watched through the full game instead of playing through it because I just didn't think I would enjoy it. But I don't like. I like the repetition of single commands like button presses, but I don't like the repetition of like complicated. Like more complicated actions. So like that's my justification about it. But I'm always down to like challenge that theory and play more games. Like maybe one day I'll play, because Xenoblade Chronicles 1 got a remake on Switch. I'd be open to try that one day. You can move around like Xenoblade, but position doesn't matter. You can pick attack or magic like the usual Final Fantasy games, but the Gambit system lets you control how the AI works. Maybe that's it too, because Xenoblade Chronicles and Final Fantasy 12, correct me if I'm wrong, you only control your player character. You don't you can command your AI, but you can't directly control them. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I guess I'm just like picking for more info. I like the Celeste soundtrack, but I think I need more upbeat something right now. I do have shuffle on, right? Apparently not. That's why it's all Celeste. We need some shuffle in here. There we go. But I think, so like the two reasons I want to try Final Fantasy XII is to kind of challenge my preconceptions. And the other reason is it seems like a really cool black sheep of the Final Fantasy series. Because they're, like, I kind of categorize them as like 1 through 6 are their own thing. 5, 6, or sorry, 7, 8, 9 are kind of their own thing. Or sorry, let's include 10 in that. So 1 through 6, 7 through 10, 11's an MMO, 12 is kind of in its own space, and then 13 onward is like my modern era Final Fantasy. So 12 was like before modern, but I'm assuming it was developed by like a group of people that didn't go on to make any of the other Final Fantasies, but I gotta do research before that. But it'd be a fun game to like dive into for my own reasons and maybe do a video on it later. You can control the actions of all party members if you want. You only move the character you control, but you can swap to anyone on the fly. Okay. I'm open to try it. Like I said, and then like aside from that, like the visuals look really unique for 12. But that's about it. And then I was gonna go over like just what I've been playing, because the two big streams that I want to get through the rest of this year is today's Game Awards voting, and sometime in December I'll do a tier list of all the games that I played for the first time this year. I did it last year and it was a lot of fun. The world of 12 is also Ivalice, so if you like tactics, it said, oh, okay, that's interesting. I thought Tactics was completely separate. That's cool. I never played Tactics, but I want to. So I have two public lists that are also in the Discord. There's a channel in Games Finished Archive, and I really like how this is presented. Now that I've started uploading all of my live streams to a second channel, I'm posting the playlists here, and I think it looks really well. So obviously before I was doing that, it's going to look different, but this is the list of all the games that I played on stream, because sometimes people want a list and now it can direct them to being able to watch it. So this year I didn't stream a lot of games. I think I failed as a streamer. The Medium was done in 2021. Sekiro was done in April. Colosseum was just finished. I think this says the same thing, 2021. So I streamed and finished 2 games this year, Sekiro and Pokemon Colosseum. Sekiro was the first Souls-like that I ever started and finished, and that was a really fun experience. I think the next time I play a Souls game, it'll be if they remaster Bloodborne on PS5. You stream more than I have? Well, that's still not enough. I've been doing a lot for YouTube, so I don't mind. I've been having a lot of fun doing both. I think I put out 2 or 3 videos this year. As far as the YouTube videos I put out, I actually did a lot. Is the Medium in 2021 or 2022? 9 months ago. I need more than that. Okay, so February. That has to be the first. This has got to be 2021. Yeah, so I did The Medium, Phantasy Star, The Less You Know the Better, Chrono Trigger, Monarch, and Amazing Island. I think that's a really good output for this year. And I've definitely scaled up the quality in editing and just personal touches. So I'm really happy with the channel. Even if I didn't stream a lot of games, I think I'm putting work into what I want to focus on. And then I actually did play a lot off stream. So it'll be fun to do the tier list, actually. I'm looking forward to it. So this is 2021. The first game looks like Phantasy Star, and I remember that being the first game I played. So off stream, I did Phantasy Star, A Short Hike. A Short Hike was good. I'll go into these in more detail when I do the tier list. I just want to like briefly go over in my, like, you know, just in my head. So I played A Short Hike, Phantasy Star, Chrono Trigger on the DS, Disco Elysium, No Players Online. I replayed Mother 3 for the first time. Like, you know, played it for the second time in like normal speak. And it was as good as it was the first time. It's such a fantastic game. And then a lot of these games I played for the Less You Know the Better video. That was No Players Online, Doki Doki, Frog Fractions, Pony Island, Buddy Simulator. Buddy Simulator I think is my favorite game of the year. I hope more people play it. It's just released on Switch, so before there was an excuse because it was PC only. But if you haven't played it, don't look anything up and play it. I think you'd like it a lot, Big B. Resident Evil Village, 13 Sentinels, Before Your Eyes, Silent Hill Homecoming, Franken, Monarch, Obscure, Super Mario 3D World, Secret of Mana. I played through all the Uncharted games. Lunar, Silver Star Story, Ghostwire Tokyo, Amazing Island, Outer Wilds, Scott Pilgrim, The Complex Found Footage, and finally Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which I said yesterday I got the game last Friday and I finished it Sunday evening. I played it non-stop. I was having some fun with it. But, I mean, you can see the list. The only thing that is made in 2022 that's like AAA, I'll skip over some of the others, but I played Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I played Ghostwire Tokyo. So I'm going to be moving on to doing the Game Awards today, knowing full well that I haven't played the majority of games, but I do have some opinions that you can take with a grain of salt because of that reason. But I think it's fun to talk about the released games, see how they've done, upcoming games, and then the Game Awards focuses on other categories that are just within the gaming space. So we can go ahead and start that. Did you do your voting yet, Big B? So first is Game of the Year. I haven't played any of these games. So A Plague Tale Requiem, I've heard good things about the previous releases for that series. I know the least about it. Don't remember half of what you voted for. That's fair. Let me get something else music-wise. I'm gonna pick and choose. This one's probably good. So, A Plague Tale Requiem, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Stray, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I mostly went for the lesser big names when possible. That's fair. I like that. There's usually at least one indie game in the category for Game of the Year in the past couple years, which is nice. The thing is, God of War Ragnarok just came out. So, like, this is when I can tell that, like, the gaming companies get involved with what gets put on this list. They're very transparent about it. Like, I think there's a page here. I think I can find a page here that says, like, how we've nominated what we've nominated. So let me see if I can find it. The award process. How are nominees selected? Nominees for most categories in the Game Awards are chosen by an international jury of over 100 global media and influencer outlets, selected for their history of critical video game evaluations. I'm more shocked Last of Us Part 1 wasn't on the list. I think that makes sense to me. I think it was... underwhelming for a lot of people. I think the biggest part was the price tag, but I'm glad it exists. My whole thought with The Last of Us Part 1 remake is, like, I recognize how culturally important The Last of Us Part 1 and 2 are for video games, that even though this game, the first one's been remade a bunch of times, I'm glad that it's available and they're making it the best product it can be back to back. Like, it's always the best version of the game. So how are winners selected? Winners are determined by a blended vote between the voting jury 90% and public fan voting 10%. Fans can vote for their favorite games. Yeah, it should not have been full price. But the reason I bring up the voting process is because God of War, like, even if I did play it, I wouldn't feel good personally about playing a game in a week and then voting in that same week if I think it's like one of the best games released in this year. Like, for me personally, I don't need to play games as soon as they come out. I got a huge backlog, and I like waiting when more content, more patches, and stuff has been added to the game, because that's how new games are these days. So Horizon Forbidden West is kind of how I felt about Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart the previous year. I think that game came out last year. It came out in 2021. So the way that I feel about both games is that they're sequels of existing franchises. Like maybe God of War 2. It's less about innovation, more about perfecting what's already there. And I'm sure Rift Apart and Horizon Forbidden West are really fully fleshed out experiences to play and enjoy. But it's not as innovative as some of these other picks. So already I would steer away from these two. Plague's Tale, like I said before, I've heard good things about the series. I just haven't heard anybody talk about it in the public spotlight, so I just don't know how good it is. Stray took people by storm. Like, I think it was really cool how impactful Stray was as like a smaller team getting put into the spotlight. So I'm really happy that Stray is on this list. It's not one of the best indie games that I'm looking forward to playing in the coming years. For me, the top two indie games that I want to play from this year is Tunic and Sifu. So it's a little sad that those games aren't here, but I do recognize that Stray is like very important for this year, and I'm glad it's getting recognition. I also want to get Horizon, but I'm waiting for the inevitable complete edition with all the DLC. Yeah, I got the last Horizon game for $5 with all of the content in it. I am picking Elden Ring. I'll give you that spoiler, because that leaves only two left, is Elden Ring and Xenoblade. As much as I like the improvement in art style for Xenoblade, I just think about how hard Xenoblade games are to get into, both tutorial mechanics-wise, complexity-wise. They've got to be rewarding games to play from beginning to end. And it's funny that I say, like, accessibility when the competitor in this is Elden Ring. But I think Elden Ring is so innovative, even for a series that's been going on and getting spin-offs and sequels like it has been. They still found a way to take the Souls formula and innovate on it in such a grand scale. And not only that, they removed some of the traditional aspects of open world games with like waypoint markers, quest logs, things like that. Like, everything is very diegetic and in the world. So my vote's got to go to Elden Ring. Does it just immediately skip? Okay. So, like, my vote's got to go to Elden Ring. I really think it delivered on everything that it meant to. It's such a cool game that I want to eventually play. Let's get some upbeat music. All I got is sleepy music. Alright, you voted for Elden Ring. Next category. Best game direction. I haven't heard of Immortality. I'll start with that. Wait, no, I think I have. Is it the movie? Interactive film? I have. This is the person who made... This is the person who also made... Her Story. No? Right? Her Story. Sam Barlow. Sam Barlow. Yeah. I want to look into this game a lot. Because I haven't played Her Story, but I've heard about it. And as soon as I found out that there's not really a sequel, but a new game made with the same kind of newness in mind, I got excited about it. So that's cool that Immortality's in Best Game Direction. That's really cool. Stray, again, I think seemed like a good game, but not deserving of the best, just because we're like comparing shiny gems to like shinier gems. Like I would love to play Stray one day, but nothing about it particularly screams at me to vote for it. So Best Game Direction would be Elden Ring again. Again, I just don't see these two. I just see them how I see Rift Apart, as just being like competent, fully fleshed out sequels of things that have already been perfected. But it's cool that Immortality's on there. Best Narrative. I feel like my vote wouldn't really... I have nothing to weigh in here because I haven't played these games. I'll vote Elden Ring for consistency, but I feel like God of War Ragnarok would probably... let's vote God of War. I know that the first game, the story has been held in really high regard, so it seems like a next step. We'll switch it up. Best Art Direction. Okay, so Scorn's the new one here. Scorn has... Are we back? Yeah. Scorn has fantastic visuals, art direction. But that's it. Scorn doesn't have a whole lot else, which is kind of interesting. I heard, I was really excited to play Scorn when it was being teased, and like they even sent out early copies to some content creators. So I got to hear their thoughts with their limited time with the game. But it seemed like Scorn kind of failed beyond that. I think my vote's going to go to Elden Ring, but Scorn would be like a really close second, because I've seen the environments in Elden Ring. It's tough. Like, I want to vote for both of them. Because Scorn is so creative and so gross. I'll just do Elden Ring. I'll feel bad about it, though. Best Score in Music. Xenoblade, Metal Hellsinger. Interesting. My vote's not gonna matter here either. So I'm gonna vote Elden Ring and feel bad about it. I'm not a real gamer. I've been playing old games. I think I voted for Stray in all three. Best Audio Design. Xenoblade's music is good. I've never listened to a Xenoblade soundtrack, except for the stuff that's in Smash. Best Audio Design, Call of Duty, Elden Ring. So Gran Turismo and Call of Duty are the two new ones. I'd probably guess God of War would have the best production. Best Performance. Oh geez. I feel bad voting. Dude, another Immortality performance is on here. That's awesome. This is Christopher Judge. I can at least use this voting as an opportunity to learn. Okay, so Christopher Judge plays Kratos. What about Sonny? I guess Atreus? Ooh. Is it not just... Do I have to do more work than that? God of War, Atreus. Okay, so you got two God of War votes. Plague Tale, Horizon. I think actually Birch is just the Aloy, right? I don't think there's any more. Well, I guess I haven't played the. I was gonna say, like, I guess there aren't any huge important characters. Aloy. Okay. I don't know. Give it to God of War. Games for Impact. A Memoir Blue, As Dusk Falls. Citizen Sleeper. I've seen gameplay of As Dusk Falls. It seemed to, from like the one review that I saw, the reviewer said it lacked in some aspects, but it was really like creatively interesting. I haven't heard of a lot of these games. So I guess I'll skip this one too. Can I skip? Or I guess I gotta vote. This has cool art. Citizen Sleeper. Best ongoing: Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, Genshin. 14 and Apex, I think, are probably the best well-received ongoing games. But I have a lot of respect for Final Fantasy 14 from like its beginnings to where it is now. So it's always going to get my vote. Best Indie. Cult of the Lamb, Neon Whites. Oh, this is another one I'm looking forward to. So I've already told you, I think this was a pretty good year for indies. I really want to play all 4 of these games. Cult of the Lamb, not so much. But I'm most excited for Tunic because of how interesting, like, how layers deep the gameplay is. How, like, not fourth wall breaking, but how, see, I haven't played it, but I know about it in that respect. How, like, interactive it is to be, like, vague on, like, all fronts. So my vote's gonna go to Tunic for best indie, but Sifu is a close second, Neon White's a close third, and then Stray I'd be interested in playing. All good games. Best mobile game, what's Tower of Fantasy? I guess Genshin. Best community support, Final Fantasy 14. Again, I just have a lot of respect for both the players and the game. Innovation and accessibility. I know The Last of Us Part 2 had a lot in terms of accessibility, so I can't imagine that stuff would be lacking in the remake for Part 1. Maybe I'll just give it to this because of how much Part 2 did it. I just have to assume that stuff is in. The Last of Us Part 2 had enough settings in it where you could play through the game if you were blind, and that's like super respectable. There's a lot of things in The Last of Us Part 2 where you can color code and like simple shade things so that you can just get the information. So a lot of respect for The Last of Us Part 2's accessibility, and I hope that one's mostly the same. Best VR AR, Bone Lab. Have I seen that? Bone Works is what I'm thinking of. Did they make a sequel or something? Bone Lab on Steam. Or is this something different? I'm born in 1929, don't you forget it. Come on, show me the game. Was it Bone Lab? Come on, show me the page! Okay, this is something completely different than what I thought. I remember Bone Works. Is it called Bone Works? Bone Works. Is it made by the same people? Stress Level 0. Stress Level 0. Okay, it's made by the same people. That's interesting. So I heard interesting things about Bone Works. How it was like one of the first games to use physics and resistance with VR. And while with a lot of VR stuff, it's not like perfectly full game. It seems like they took that opportunity or that experience and made a sequel with it. So that's cool to me. I mean, I'd probably vote Among Us. I've seen some Among Us VR. It seems like a cool idea. I'm glad they did it. Best action game. TMNT is a standard beat 'em up. Again, good stuff, just not really new or exciting for me, and that's where I lean toward, is new and exciting. So, Sifu, Neon White, Bayo 3. I haven't played Bayo 3. I want to give some attention to these two, so I'd probably vote Sifu. Which is like crazy, like the action category is crazy this year. It's like a lot of weird picks, I would think. Best action adventure, Tunic, that's easy. Best role-playing, Elden Ring, Live Alive Remake, Arceus, Triangle Strategy, Xenoblade. Probably, like, all of these games are great, and like Elden Ring should probably be in the action rather than the role-playing. Which really sways my vote. Like, if Elden Ring wasn't in here, I'd have stuff to think about. Triangle Strategy, I haven't really heard much after its release. I've told you my thoughts on Xenoblade. It's cool that Live Alive got an HD 2D, is I think what they call it, remaster. But it is still like a Super Nintendo game. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I hear the game is a little bit on the short side. Maybe I shouldn't speak at all, I just don't know. But I mean, this is lopsided toward Elden Ring. Best fighting game, DNF Duel, JoJo's, which is a remake, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. King of Fighters, Multiverses. And I saw Sifu in the fighting game category, and that is weird. Because fighting game is usually FGC versus multiplayer. Sifu is a solo player experience. So kind of weird. Multiverses, I had fun with it for a couple of days, I dropped it. King of Fighters, I've never gotten into. JoJo's, I've played the PS3 release of this game. I didn't have a chance to play this version, which I saw that they tweaked different things about it. ArcSys always makes good stuff, but this game seemed to have fallen under the spotlight too for some reason. I'd give it to DNF because ArcSys Films always makes good stuff. Best family, Kirby, Lego Star Wars, Mario, Rabbids, Switch Sports. Switch Sports was a letdown even though I didn't play it. Splatoon 3, I always have amazing respect for. What's up, Riley? I'm good. I'm doing the Game Awards voting right now because I haven't played a lot of this stuff this year, but I'm still interested to see what made the cut. So I gotta go off vibe rather than gaming experience for this one. I play a lot of older games rather than newer games. DNF is the worst Arc. Is it really? I mean, Grand Blue is made by ArcSys, right? Grand Blue still exists. It looks fun. It just doesn't look like. It looks fun. I would love to play DNF Duel. I'll actually stand my ground. Rabbids is oddly fun. I never played the first one, and it's really cool that it did get a sequel. I'm glad that they got enough support. I got Grand Blue and I did not like it felt so passive. It just felt really slow. It reminded me of I think Street Fighter 4, people always say is a slower fighting game. It kind of reminded me of that, a lot of footsies. But I don't know. Like I said, I gotta go off vibes. I feel like my vote here goes to Splatoon just because Splatoon is one of the best Nintendo IPs to come out from Nintendo in a long time. And while I still have problems with its matchmaking and its multiplayer, and its limited time of Splatoon 2 had a limited time where you could play the co-op mode, which is crazy to me because if you're making a multiplayer focused game, it just seems like a good selling point to have a competitive 4v4 and a co-op 4-player mode. But the fact that you're locking the co-op into certain times of day and certain events is crazy to me. I heard that they fixed that in Splatoon 3. I think I heard that they fixed matchmaking a little bit. My other problem with matchmaking was with Splatoon 1 and 2, if you weren't doing ranked, you had to join a match, and then your friend had to join you, and then you could only join if there was an open space, and it would not always put you on the same team. So I had a lot of problems with that, but the concept itself and just it being in the category for best family I've really enjoyed Splatoon, the Splatoon franchise for that. Other than that, I don't have much to say. Kirby seemed like a solid release, but I mean, it doesn't seem like a long-staying family experience. I don't know. Nintendo Switch Sports was a letdown because like Nintendo or Wii Sports was such a hit. All you have to do is like the same thing but like expand on it. And it was another one of those Nintendo games that released with no content, but like, hey, we're gonna update the game later. And they just like don't really do that. Like golf wasn't even in the game at release. So I was just disappointed with how they handled Nintendo Switch Sports. But I like the concept. I'm glad they like did a little bit with it. Best sim and strategy. I don't know anything about Doom, Warhammer, 2 Point Campus, Victoria 3. I mean, that's a very uneducated vote we got there. Sports racing. That looks like an indie game in a category that has some very shit games. FIFA, I'm looking at you. Best multiplayer. Call of Duty Multiverses I had fun with for a couple days. Overwatch 2 I've actually been playing quite a bit of with some friends like in my local Discord server. I still have a ton of respect for Splatoon 3, and then this is a co-op beat 'em up, so it doesn't have the same broad appeal. Nothing wrong with it in that regard, it just, you know. Okay, so we're past games and now we're going to people. Karl Jacobs, I have not watched Karl Jacobs content, but I know I've seen Karl Jacobs in other mutual YouTubers. My vote's probably gonna go to Ludwig. Cutie Cinderella, huge understated, like, Cutie Cinderella hosts events and like props up other supporters. So even though Cutie's not always in the spotlight, I have a ton of respect for Cutie for just hosting, being a good support role and like hosting people and making these really memorable events. Ludwig is trying to do the same thing now that he's on YouTube. So like you can tell my bias here is like I've watched a lot of people in that sphere. Nebellion, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Nebellion a Twitter account that posts like leaks, news, breaking news for like gaming? Does Nebellion make content? Tweeting about video games and more. To me, this is my alt account. Oh, well, let's find. That came up when I typed in. I can't even find the Twitter. Let's try it through Google. Did something happen? Popular gaming Twitter shuts. Oh, okay. This is getting a little more than I bargained for. Let's click one link and figure it out. If you're somebody who likes to keep up with gaming news, there's a really good chance you'll know Nebellion. So it's mostly Twitter user. I'll save the rest for another topic, but not that there's anything wrong with that, but it seems like the scale is different when you compare like streamers and content creators to somebody posting like gaming news on Twitter. No problem with it, just surprising to me. So my vote goes to Ludwig. Best debut indie. Neon White and Tunic. And Vampire Survivors is getting a lot of recognition, and I watched gameplay of it on a like underrated indie gems kind of video. So it seems like it's blown up in popularity. It's a really cheap game, a really easy game to play. I probably want to try it sometime, but in a previous category, I've talked about how interested I am in Tunic as a concept. So that's probably where my vote's going. Best adaptation. I did not see the Uncharted movie. I really didn't like the Sonic the Hedgehog, the first movie. I didn't see the second movie. Cuphead show I watched a little bit of. Cyberpunk Edgerunners I wished I watched in time for this, but Arcane took me by surprise. I was blown away with how good Arcane was. I really thought that there was a lot of wasted potential in the League of Legends IP, because they have such a broad, like, the idea of League of Legends itself is bringing together characters that, like, wouldn't normally be, like, together. And even though it wasn't as fleshed out in the beginning as it is now, they took what was the start of the League of Legends IP and really expanded it into this interconnected world. And Arcane was beautifully animated. It is a gorgeous series. And it's interesting too. There's good characters, good writing. I was just blown away. Like, I can't wait to rewatch season 1 of Arcane and see whatever it has in store. I'm hoping that, like, a couple seasons, like season 1 and 2, is focusing on these characters in this world, and then you come over here and seasons 3 and 4 is like a separate story, these characters, these worlds. I hope we just get to see more of League of Legends universe in a show that's as good as Arcane. It gets my vote. Most anticipated game: Final Fantasy 15, Hogwarts Legacy, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Starfield, and Zelda. That's tough, because I think a lot of critical acclaim of Zelda has been tampered by time. I think it's still a fantastic game, and everybody still thinks it's a fantastic game, but it seems like something where they can just add more to it. And I hope that they do what they did with Majora's Mask 2 Tears of the Kingdom, where they take Ocarina, or in this case Breath of the Wild's base, and add onto it more mechanics and more story, and just tell a unique story. So I really am anticipating Tears of the Kingdom, and I hope it's even better than Breath of the Wild, just because you don't have to start from the ground up, because you're using the foundation and, you know, code that you have for the first game. Starfield I don't have much to say on. I wouldn't vote for it just because it seems like it's been in development limbo for some time now. Resident Evil 4 is a remake of one of the best games ever made, so that's exciting. I mean, again, I'm comparing shiny gems to other shiny gems. I think because it's a remake, I would pass on giving it my vote. Hogwarts Legacy I don't have anything to say on. Final Fantasy 15 is what it leaves me with: Zelda or Final Fantasy 16. And that's a tough vote between those two. I'm excited to see, so like, what I'm looking forward to for Final Fantasy 16 is, I couldn't personally get into Final Fantasy 14, and the director Yoshi P and the character designers for Final Fantasy 14 are working on 16. So I'm excited to see 16 so that I can play something made by Yoshi P and his team. Because, again, I have a lot of respect for Final Fantasy 14, both the development, the support, and the communication for the fans. And I've heard really good things about the story, I just can't get into the game. So I'm excited to see those talented people work on something more solo player, and just something more solo player. So given that, and given how I feel about Zelda, I think I'm looking forward to, whether or not I play 16 on release, I'm still very excited to see how it's received. Best esports: Valorant, League of Legends, Rocket League, Dota 2, Counter-Strike. I mean, I've had a lot of enjoyment for Valorant and Counter-Strike, but I put more time into Valorant. I think my vote is going to go to Valorant. Best esports athlete: I don't know any of these people. I think I know Faker. I've heard that name. That's Simple. I think I've heard Simple's name. I think this goes to eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm gonna like turn away. And Faker gets my vote. Esports team. I don't know these people. You guys play Valorant. Best esports coach. There's 2 Valorant people. So we'll do Eric. Esports event. Valorant. We'll do. Oh no, Evo! No, wait, no, change. I can change it. There's Evo. I like Evo. You voted for Evo. Is that all? That's 31. Okay. All right, we did it. So like I said, I haven't played a lot of the games that have come out this year, but it's always stuff that I want to keep on my radar. It's expected of me not to play these games the year that they come out, maybe a couple years afterwards. And I am looking forward to this year, next year, and beyond for gaming, because while I think this year wasn't the most exciting in terms of releases, I still think it's... that's it. That's what I think. No bigger picture. I don't think this year was the best in terms of releases for me. A lot of the indie games are the ones that I'm looking forward to playing years in the future. Like I said, Tunic, Sifu, Neon White, and Stray are most of the games that have come out, including the AAAs, that are the ones that I'm excited to play. So I don't think that's a problem. I like where gaming's at in general. Whether it's AAA or whether it's indie, there's stuff out there. And if it's not new stuff, make people aware of all the old stuff that's come out. Whether it's the last year, last 5 years, last 10 years, so on. Making games accessible is something that I'm really passionate about. And it's part of why I started doing YouTube content. It's just so that I can put a spotlight and talk about games that, even if it's not a hot topic, it's stuff that's evergreen that you can go back and visit, that's always going to be there. When it comes to something like Bloober Team remaking Silent Hill 2 and all the pressure that comes with it, I hope to enjoy the remake, but if it's for some reason the worst case scenario, I always have the original to go back to and enjoy. So that's my speech for today. I'm gonna end the stream here. I don't have anything else planned. I wanted to do a shorter stream today. Thanks for watching to the end. Consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this, and subscribe to the second channel for live stream uploads. I live stream on Twitch, and I also have a Discord. If you really like my content, please consider sending a tip on Ko-fi. All tips go back into my content by purchasing games for future videos or live streams. Links to all of these platforms can be found in the description below.